Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Astrology Today and Tarot. I am Mel Rose. This is the Tarot portion and the second half of my daily astrology post, which you can find on my other channel called Astrology Today and Tarot with Mel Rose. No, the other channel is called Astrology Today with Mel Rose. The idea behind the second post is to bring further intuitive insight to the day's energies. I will discuss the tarot card that sits on the side of the page, then I'll make a quick review of the day's astrology before playing another card, which may give us something more to think about. Okay, so let's get into it. The tarot card that sits on the side of the page right now is the Ten of Swords, and it relates directly to the third decan, or the last 10 days of the sun's transit through Gemini. Well, here we are. Today is the last full day of the sun's transit through Gemini. And so today will be the last day for the Ten of Swords. Gemini is an air sign. Swords are air in the tarot. And both of them have a lot to do with Mercury's kind of qualities. Mercury is about our thoughts, plans, and communications and the day-to-day running around we do. And air, really focuses largely on how we use our thoughts and words. For what reason do we make our plans? And in Tarot, Swords talks a lot also about the fact that how we use our thoughts and words has power, right? The way we make our plans, the way we include people or exclude people definitely has power. So here you have a person in a position where they have been snuck up on and stabbed in the back about 10 times. And so this suggests a betrayal, right? Sort of surprise attack. You wouldn't have taken that if you saw it coming. And so it's kind of unavoidable to deal with it once it's upon you. And, it points to sometimes things beyond our control can leave us feeling in a situation where we've been victimized or we have been mistreated. And it is important to acknowledge when we've been mistreated. It's important to acknowledge those wounds in our back, to sit up and try to sort of pull some of the swords out of our back and tend to the pain from that. But equally important is to recognize that it is the end of a cycle. So we've come to the Ten of Swords. After that, you go back to the beginning of the sword suit and you start all over again. So this is a time to recognize what you can leave behind, like especially in terms of the people or the ideas, the plans, and the thoughts that you can't trust, and leave those things behind and move forward with a more enlightened view of what can be trusted and what is a good idea. Okay, so think of it as a really hard lesson, right? And take the lesson, right? Either we trusted the wrong people or we got involved with the wrong kind of thoughts and ideas. And that's okay, because we can always start over fresh. There is always new life ahead of us. As you can see with that nice golden horizon, if we can pick ourselves up and tend our wounds, those clouds are going to clear and we can walk toward that golden horizon and make a fresh start. Okay, so with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle my cards while I remind myself and the cards that the sun is in Gemini. And it is the last full day for the sun's transit in Gemini. So I don't know how this last week has gone for you all, but I have done a lot of communication and I have done a lot of planning. It's like that last week of the transit is always a lot more intense in those terms. There's been a lot of intellectual creativity bouncing around my skull and my home and my workplace. So that's really cool. And, it's appropriate because this is also, we're coming up to the peak of the sun's influence. These days are the longest days of the year. So, we're very much focused on our outer life, the things that we're working on in the world, trying to get done out in the world, the social stuff that we want to do out in the world, the civic stuff we want to be engaged in out there. And we're talking about it and we're sharing about it and we're collaborating hopefully with others as well, because, Gemini is the sign of the twins. And so we sort of pair up with people and we share ideas because we have strength in numbers. Mercury is also in Gemini. Mercury is right at home in Gemini and will be there until the 4th of July. And Mercury in Gemini is like, you know, full speed ahead with our thoughts, plans, and communications, right? It's just like, oh, I have something to say, says Gemini, and says Mercury, and Gemini says, say it then, right? I have a thought, think it then, okay? Share it with the rest of us. The moon is a third quarter moon today. This is a transitional point. We switch gears from, contemplating what we need to let go of and into actually getting rid of things. Okay, so whatever it is, whether it's stuff and things that no longer serve our purposes, or thoughts, attitudes, and dispositions that no longer serve our purposes, we are switching gears today. Okay, and we are moving into the activity of decrease, of letting go of those things. On the moon side of the page today, moon goes conjunct to Neptune this afternoon around 2:44. So there are a couple of hours there between, say, 3 and 5 p.m. where, whatever we're encountering, we may be feeling a little extra amplified in the sensitive and emotional sort of spheres. Okay, that's our feelings and our sense of connection, our sensitivity to our connection to other people and to spirit, in a really amplified position. So this can put us in a position where we don't really understand what's going on. We can feel confused, we can feel deceived, but the truth is we probably just don't see very clearly. The sensitivity and the emotionality can sort of overwhelm our rationality and keep us from being able to see things plainly for what they are. So if you get upset about something, if something feels really off or wrong, and you can give it some time to unfold and see what the truth is, okay? Or at least seek out some definitive factual answers before we go flying off the handle in an emotional way. We don't want our emotions to get the better of us at a time like this. And then this evening at 6:11 and at 7:01, moon goes sextile to Venus and then sextile to Pluto. Sextile energy, very positive, very cooperative, generating good things, okay? This says we can keep good company, and this says we can make closer, deeper bonds with people. So, make sure the company you keep is good. Make sure you really like the company you keep. Make sure you feel like the company that you keep is can celebrate you and is supportive of you in the endeavors you're trying to make, because these are the people we want to make stronger connections with, right? And then the sun goes square to the void of course moon at 10:11. That means that's the last aspect the moon will make before it moves out of Pisces and into Aries. So sun goes square to the moon just as it's going void of course. That is the culmination of that third quarter moon. And again, that square is there to move us into action. Our void of course this afternoon is 35 minutes long. So, do what you can. If you need time to have that personal conversation with yourself or spirit, do your journaling or meditation. You can do those things anytime, of course. I just usually recommend or try to aim for that time myself because, the moon is kind of unfiltered through either of these signs. And so we can get more in touch directly with how we feel about things. And then at 10:37, just 35 minutes later, moon goes into Aries. Of course, Aries, moon wants to speed right into Aries because Aries is impatient and impetuous and impertinent. And it says, oh, we don't really care if you have time to have those important conversations with yourself because we've got stuff to do, right? So third quarter moon in Aries, switching gears to the activity of decrease. Aries is a very active, fiery sign. It's time to initiate. It's time to make a fresh start in the personal life. And part of what we can do to make a fresh start is to push all that old stuff out of the door, literally and figuratively, that no longer works for us, okay? Also on the sun side of the page today, we have Mercury sextile to Jupiter, and this will be here for with us for about 4 days. And this is, our thoughts, plans, and communications, our intellectual capacity in a very cooperative position with the planet for expansion, for growth, for higher education and travel and bigger business, stuff that expands our experience and expands our sense of what we can be, do, and have. Okay, so we're getting a really good look at the big picture here for what it is that we would like to be, do, and have. And we can have big picture thinking and big picture planning right now, okay? In the ongoing column, we have this funny little square dance that Venus and the Sun are doing with Neptune and Saturn. And it's all about this push and pull between our sensitivity, our sense of connection to other people and to spirit, and our sense of attachment to what is real. Okay, so sort of fantasy versus reality. And sometimes fantasy works on our behalf and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes reality works on our behalf and sometimes it doesn't. So here we see, like we're really blessed between the Sun and Saturn with any efforts that we're making in our outer life, especially efforts that, that go toward increasing our own sense of stability in the world. But also Sun is square to Neptune, and that can be very demotivating. It can really just sort of slow us down, especially if you're like a Leo or a Pisces, because those are your ruling planets. That can be really demotivating feeling. Just remember that, again, you've got this blessing over here that says whatever activities you take toward your own stability right now, really, they count more than you think they do. Okay, that trine functioning makes it ideal possible functioning, and it means it says we'll get more out of our actions than we even think that we will. Venus, however, is sextile to Neptune, right? So Venus is like window shopping for opulent things and saying, yes, I have a fantasy, let's talk about it. It's even kind of a sexy vibration there. And it also, in terms of our finances, helps us think about, what our financial goals are. If there's a special opulent shiny thing that you'd really like to have that would represent for you that you had made it to a certain level of financial security that you would like to have for yourself, then that's a good thing to set in place as a goal. Whereas Venus is square to Saturn right now, so Venus is not really feeling a lot of the stability and support right now. We're like in this self-love challenge through the 23rd. We're like wherever we seek to attract stability to us, it's just not really kind of available, and we have to find that sort of by dreaming on what we can have and understanding that the work we're doing in the outer life that might be leaving us feeling unsupported in that romantic life. The work we're doing in our outer life is very important to our ability to succeed right now. Sun is quincunx to Pluto through the 23rd. Quincunx is not one that we talk about very much. It does not guarantee a positive outcome. It's kind of like, how are you going to handle this situation, okay? So outer life, work, social, or civic sphere, okay? And Pluto says, there's an ending and a beginning here. And it's almost like there's a problem that comes up on a regular basis, one that we might anticipate, but then we might forget to anticipate it because it just comes up so often. We just handle it and move forward across it, right? This time we encounter the issue, and our way of handling it, our tried and true approach, does not work, right? So we have to be ready. We have to have the emotional flexibility, okay, and the mental flexibility as well, and the patience as well, to take a moment and say, okay, that didn't work. I'm not going to sit here and beat my head against this wall. I'm going to find another way to make it work. And hopefully we'll find another way that, works better and perhaps opens some doors for us. Pluto is retrograde through October 8th. Pluto is in Capricorn in retrograde, so it's really transforming our habits and our reliance on institution right now. Saturn is retrograde as well in Aquarius, so it's really asking us to review our reliance on social structures that maybe support us, but they don't support everybody. Aquarius wants everybody to be supported, so Saturn in Aquarius is going to ask us to, be making our reliance on certain structures dependent on whether those structures support everybody or whether they just support me, right? And with all of that said, I'm going to turn over this card. And we got the sun. Yay! So the sun, I mean, that's perfect. That's perfect for today and tomorrow and the next few days, because this is the time of the sun's culmination. Tomorrow is the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. Okay, so the peak of the sun's influence. But you know, these days are the peak of the sun's influence right now. These are the longest days of the year, and so, you know, with a lot of sunshine, we can get a lot of work done. We can get a lot of playing in. There's a lot of activity, and a lot of it seems to have to do with, you know, being able to get outdoors and do things. If you live in a part of the world like I do, where, you know, over the winter time it gets really cold sometimes, and it's hard to want to spend any time outdoors. When the sun is out, even if it's very hot, you'll find people out there, you know, finding a place to go swim or just cool off in the shade, just because it's nice to be able to be outdoors and enjoy the fresh air and the sunshine, which of course we also require because it helps us to make vitamin D, and vitamin D is essential to maintaining our levels of serotonin, and serotonin is an endorphin that helps us sleep, and it helps us feel good about ourselves as well. So we need sun. Go get you some sun. Don't get overexposed to the sun, right? Because it's a very powerful entity in our lives, and it can absolutely, you know, fry our skin in a day. So, you know, be careful about your exposure to the sun, but definitely get out there and enjoy. You know, the sun is the card. The sun is really a moment of joy and happiness. It just represents joy and happiness, like, you know, a positive outcome, where everything is revealed, the truth is known, and we are all well satisfied. So in relationship to all of this, well, I see the sun in this dance with Saturn and Neptune saying right now, I feel demotivated, but I know I have work to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do my work because those efforts are blessed, right? And then I have the sun down here saying, I might feel demotivated because I'm going to run into something, you know, if I run into something that doesn't work for me, right? And I have to find a way to pivot. But like I said, the sun's light reveals all, so that should be very apparent to you at the moment, like, oh, this isn't working and I have to try something else. Sun square to the moon, right? The sun plays a part even in the shape of the moon. The sun plays a part into how much the moon appears to shed light, because it's all a reflection of the sun's light. So the sun goes square to the moon, and we have this third quarter moon split in half. That's what it appears to be. So and that square just is there to spur us into action. We're on the decrease side of the moon's creative cycle, so we are moving into actively decreasing those things that don't work for us. Summer solstice is tomorrow, longest day of the year. Sun is moving into Cancer tomorrow, so a lot of this is about what's going on with the sun, and that is appropriate because this is the time of the sun's chief influence, peak influence in the year. Taken together with the Ten of Swords, it's really, you know, I have a Ten of Swords in one of my tarot decks. It looks a lot like this, but it has a label across the bottom that says, everything's fine. And it's kind of a message that I want people to get from the Ten of Swords sometimes too, because look, you know, you might find yourself like the victim of betrayal. Somebody may stab you in the back, steal your ideas, use your words against you, or just make plans that leave you out. Sort of like I mentioned, if you rob a bank with your friends and they decide to cut you out of the deal so they can all get more money, right? That kind of backstabbing and betrayal is what I'm talking about here. But it's really good news, okay? It's really good news when you get betrayed like that, because then you know who you can't trust. You know that you know you have an answer to the question about the people that you had a weird feeling about, and you have an answer to like whether this collaboration that you're making is going anywhere. So it didn't go anywhere. That's okay. You can, you know, get on your horse and ride off down the road into this golden horizon, and follow the sun, follow your joy, follow your happiness, and you will find yourself in a better place very soon. And I believe that's all I have to say about it today, friends. Thank you so much for being here with me. I truly appreciate your presence. My name is Mel Rose, and I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more astrology today and tarot.